Hey guys, Phil/Polygon here. Welcome to episode 15 of the channel, all about invasions. And I'm kind of picking up from some ideas and comments I made in the last episode. To break out of my comfort zone a little bit, I put together myself an invasion build, joined up with the Darkwraiths, and I'm off to wreak havoc. Problem is, I am terrible at wreaking havoc, as you will see. Much hilarity to ensue. Here we go. Alright, so context alert. I've said this time and time again on the channel, I apologize for the redundancy, but I would consider myself a duelist first and foremost. So even when I went out invading initially, I would play as a duelist, and that makes for some terrible, impotent invasions. I have this bleeding heart for people that are just trying to PvE. I don't know what it is, but I feel so bad breaking into somebody's game and trying to hunt down and kill them. It's ridiculous. Invasions are a huge part of the game. They're intended by From Software, and it's just part of the lore of the world. I have no idea why I feel so terrible about it. But I just found myself looking for an excuse not to kill people. Case in point, this clip. You know, I show up, do a little sweep. This feels like a trap. I do a little sweep looking for phantoms that I'm about to get jumped. Nope, it's just a bribe. And you know what? I took it. Because I imagine this whole situation where this poor guy just broke out of Sen's fortress, fought his way to the bonfire. I probably invaded at exactly the right moment, or wrong moment, I guess in his case, and the bonfire went out. So if he was gonna die, he could not light that bonfire. He was unable to save this place in the level, and he'd have to play his way all the way back here before. And I just felt terrible. That is ridiculous. There's a couple things around that I'll talk to in just a moment, but I must say, here's another one too. Like, I had invaded this guy a couple of times and just felt like I was kind of trolling him. So I was like, all right, I'm sorry, man. I'm going home. So I am pretty green when it comes to invasions. You know, I didn't really do a lot of invasions in Demon's Souls. I always forget that S. For the time I was playing that game, I haven't really done a lot of invasions in Dark Souls. Here I am waiting for him to finish off this Silver Knight. What am I doing? I'm an invader. Go get him. But yeah, so I haven't really done a lot of invasions in the Souls franchise. There's a couple reasons behind that I'll get into in terms of being a new player that got griefed, some other things. But yeah, for the most part, there is some invasion goofballery to come. And for you guys out there that are just, you know, live and die by the code of the Darkwraith, there is going to be much eye-rolling in the clips ahead. But yeah, I am definitely a softie when it comes to invasion. Actually, I think I just said Sen's Fortress a second ago, and that was clearly not Sen's Fortress. That was the Duke's Archives. I meant to say Seath's Prison instead of Sen's Fortress. That's an easy mistake to make, right? Sorry about that. But yeah, it took me a while to get into the whole invasion mindset thing, and I still haven't really gotten into it. But there was a couple experiences out in the field that really made me kind of pivot and really made me say, okay, you gotta play a little different, man. Even though I knew that logically going into it, I had to experience some things. This is the first one of those. So this guy comes in, no pomp, no circumstance. It's an invasion. He's treating me like an invader. And we're playing, you know, and over the course of this, I think I take him for around 3,200 points of damage. My build, I'll talk about my build in just a second, but for the most part, it's kind of a glass cannon. And I went full on tryhard with, I've got 44 intelligence, I've got my bellowing dragon crest ring, I've got my crown of dusk. So it is definitely kind of a one-shot tryhard build. Fighting with this guy, you know, he keeps breaking off, chugging on his Estus, as he should, as he has every right to. I'm not running away and healing. I'm still trying to play, you know, air quote, honorably. And so over the course of this, I take him for those 3,200 points of damage. By the time he kills me, he would have taken about 800 from me. And my initial reaction was, man, that sucks. I get a very well-deserved, well, what is it here? But I'm thinking, man, that sucks. I beat the crap out of that guy. You could say that, you know, I outplayed this guy. I took him for 3,200 versus the 800 he took from me. But at the end of the day, doesn't mean a fucking thing. Because it was an invasion. And I lost. At the end of the day, my phantom was vanquished and I had to return to my world. And so that kind of flipped a little bit of a switch in my head that said, you know what, you gotta play a little different, man. It's okay to run away and pop off these humanities. He's chugging on his Estus. This is not a duel. There are not the honor code etiquette rules that apply. It's totally different. You know, in an invasion, the host and his phantoms should be doing everything in their power to get you the hell out of their world, because otherwise their game goes back to the last bonfire they rested at and they lose any progress up to that point. My job as an invader is to put that guy in the ground. And if, I guess you can't really put him in the ground because we're all undead and you just resurrected the last bonfire. It'd be kind of interesting if there was like a permanent kill mechanic. Actually, that'd be terrible. Never mind. And it was just kind of funny because at the beginning of every invasion, I had to consciously remind myself, dude, Polly, you're an invader. Play like an invader. It is your job. It is your From Software designed job to break into this guy's game and kill him, to interrupt the flow of his game, to be a nuisance, to be a constant threat in the reality that is Lordran. Faux reality, game reality, I guess. But it got me thinking a lot too in terms of like where does that come from? Because I've received feedback from a lot of other players too that they say like, oh my god, I feel so bad in an invasion, breaking into other people's worlds and killing them. And I feel the same way. I feel terrible. I feel like such an ass. So I started thinking like where does that come from? What makes me such a softie when it comes to invasions? Ooh, that right there was a pretty lucky backstab escape on my point, or on my part. I have no idea how that guy didn't BS me. But regarding being a softie, I think it comes from a couple different places. One, not understanding the game. You know, you can understand all the mechanics in the world, you can understand all the story in the world, pick up all the bits and pieces from the items of equipment. But when you stop and really think about it, invasions are such an integral part of the game. This is absolutely the vision of the developers, clear as day. I think it's only become more apparent with a lot of the changes they've made in Dark Souls 2, where you are no longer immune to invasions in any form. Human, hollow, you know, in Demon's Souls and in Dark Souls, you can opt to play the game online but not be eligible for invasions. You can flip hollow, or you can be non-human in Demon's Souls. And you can't do that anymore in Dark Souls 2. So they have sent From Software has sent a loud and clear message that they want invasions in their games. They should be there. If you are not playing this game invading, you know, you can choose not to do that, but if you choose to do that, you are absolutely following the rules, the air quote rules of Dark Souls. You are playing the game to its fullest. So that's one part of it. Until I actually went out invading, until I jumped into the deep end of the pool, I didn't really comprehend that side of the game. It was just ignorance and naivete on my part. Two, coming late to Dark Souls, again, this is probably redundant, but just to make it clear, I've only been playing this game for about 3 months, so it is an aging game. There's a lot of veteran players out there, and coming in as a new player in a veteran's world, when I would get invaded, most often I didn't stand a chance because I was still kind of learning the game. A lot of times I was being griefed, like these dudes would come in decked out with fully upgraded elemental weapons, so you know, you might get invaded at level 22, and somebody's got a +5 lightning or a +10 fire, whatever, and I'm running around with my +1 long sword, not being familiar with the game, and you just didn't stand a chance. So I kind of made this link in my head that invader equals dick. Invader equals somebody that is trying to ruin my game and getting in the way of my enjoyment of the game. I'm just trying to run through this level. I'm just trying to beat bosses, man. What are you doing? Get out of here. Again, asinine mental link on my part. Because it's just, again, to harp on the subject, it is so integral to the part of, to the role that invasions play in the game. You know, the whole Darkwraith Covenant is built on hunting down people and stealing their humanity. So when you do that as an invader, you are playing true to the game. You are playing true to the lore. And, you know, a true Darkwraith, Darkwraith, at the beginning, like where that guy threw me a bribe, would have taken those 10 humanity that he dropped, and they said, oh, thank you very much. Bonus, I'm also taking yours. and then they would have slaughtered that guy and taken his humanity as well. I'm sure there's a better way to say this, but I've had a really difficult time putting the dick in Darkwraith. And 100% of that comes from limiting myself to honor duels, kind of throwing back to episode 14 and the entire purpose of this invasion experiment. I have always fought my fights almost exclusively as honor duels, and when I get into these invasion situations, I just don't know what to do. That sounds ridiculous, because it's not that difficult what you do. You just hunt down and kill the guy. But I have that style of playing, that honorable, not abusing backstabs, not abusing criticals. That was a nice little fake out right there. Faked me out so much I took a dive. That guy must have been waiting in Chameleon for a long time too. That was a pretty sweet setup. I think I'm sending a message right now. That's like, oh my god, that was awesome. Nice. But yeah, just kind of playing where you don't abuse your criticals, you don't heal, you don't do anything overly devious or overly cheap, and that is not the reality of invasions. And I'm having a fairly challenging time and a fun time trying to overcome that. And I'm still struggling to overcome it. And I'm thinking I might do a follow-up video. I'm definitely gonna do another invasion video because I'm still getting this stuff under my belt, getting a handle on this kind of thing, and learning to play as a Darkwraith. But I think I'm gonna do a follow-up video too, where I just go out there, balls out, and just try and play as cheap as possible. And that's gonna be a challenge because like I said, I'm a softie. I've got this bleeding heart. I feel so bad. But you know what I think, or you know what I've noticed? Throughout all the time that I was doing these invasions, I didn't receive a single piece of hate mail. There was no, get the fuck out of here, man, you suck, go die, all that kind of thing. You know, not one. These invasions were taken in stride every single time, and I think it is just generally accepted by everybody apparently but me that invasions belong in the game. It is just something that comes along. A third thing is I don't really do a lot of PvP in other games. I play almost exclusively RPGs on the consoles and on the PCs, and there's not a lot of online play in a lot of those. There's not a lot of PvP action in a lot of those. I haven't really played a fighter legitimately since Capcom vs. SNK 2 back on my GameCube, and there wasn't really an online component to that. And then I don't really play a lot of like real-time strategy stuff. So for me, I'm just not familiar with the PvP side of things. There's a gap in my game playing experience. So this kind of thing is fairly new. Almost all of the PvP in any game that I do comes from the Souls universe. And so I'm fairly sensitive to this stuff because I haven't been desensitized to PvP by playing other games. I definitely know FPS. I'm not a first-person shooter guy at all. I don't have the coordination for it. But so when somebody involuntarily comes into my world, or they voluntarily come in, it's involuntarily on my part, I take it kind of personally. I find it so rude, and I'm sensitive to that kind of thing, and my initial thought is to say like, oh man, you jerk. And that is ridiculous. That is, again, just me being ignorant and me being blind to the game that I am playing. And going out and invading and having these experiences, as dumb as it sounds, made me think, oh, yeah, that's okay. It's an invasion. It's part of Dark Souls, part of the Souls universe. That sounds so simple and so goofy. There's a fairly profound moment on my end, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are just rolling their eyes thinking, what the fuck, man? You goofball. I don't know if you're actually thinking goofball. And actually, if you're listening to this and listening to me explain my idiocy, if you are thinking you goofball, that is probably pretty kind, so thank you for that. But I'd be really curious to hear from you guys too. What did you think of invasions the first time you came across them? Did you invade before you got invaded? Or if you came to Dark Souls and got your first invasion, was like, oh man, jerk? Or did you come from Demon Souls? Because like I said, I came from Demon Souls and still didn't do a lot of invading out there, just because I had this picture in my head that it was kind of a not nice thing to do, and just didn't understand the game. I was just ignorant to the game. I'd be really curious to hear your experiences, like your first getting invaded, or your first time going out invading, just to sort of get some perspective on that. And so I'm pretty stoked for Dark Souls 2, and especially a lot of the reported changes they've made around the invasion mechanics and weapon scaling and things like that, because I think it's going to address a lot of the issues I had with invasions early on, and make it a moot point forever after. One, because you can be invaded at any time, so it's just, you're gonna have to accept that if you pick up Dark Souls, invasions are in the cards. You're gonna be dealt that hand. Two, the weapon scaling, where it sounds like even elemental weapons are going to scale now, is going to be great for addressing those griefer situations that I was talking about, where you might get invaded by somebody with gear that is completely disproportional to where you are in the game, and you're going to be facing weapons that are dealing significantly more damage than anything you could have come across at your particular point in the game. Now, I think that's going to be great, and I think that's going to be fantastic for sort of leveling the playing field a little bit, and making the invasion system a little bit more palatable for new players when they take their first few steps out in Lordran. So that should be great. I'm pretty excited for that. Completely unrelated side note, just watching this clip play back. I don't know what it is about spears. I've got a couple different gear builds or gear setups with this build that I'm using. But as soon as people see a spear come out, the parry spam starts flying. People just start whiff, 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 whiff. Run up parry, parry 3, 4, 5 times in a row, probably expecting that barrage of R1, R1, R1 with the spear. Just a funny observation. I don't know if that has to do with the spear's reputation as being something of a noob stick, but I've been playing with it a little bit on this build, some in the offhand and some in the main hand with like this dual wield setup. But that's just kind of interesting. I noticed that more than any other weapon, people see that spear and the parries come a-flying. Okay, so lessons learned. Dumb as it sounds, invasions are okay. Speaking to the guys that are kind of like me, that have just been restricting yourself to duels and not really doing a lot of invasions, go do some invasions. I mean, it's fun to play a little different than you're used to, and it was pretty eye-opening and pretty enlightening, and just a great experience. I'm definitely going to do more, and like I said, do a follow-up video where I try and play a little bit more true to the Darkwraith style. Of course, it's all contextual. You can make a judgment call depending on what you judge the host to be, or whether you run into a 2v1 or 3v1 situation or things like that. So I have a feeling there are definitely going to be some invasions that play out as duels, but for the most part, God, I need to remember to use my damn humanity and use the enemies to my advantage, and you don't have to wait all the time, depending on your read of the situation. For the guys that have been invading the entire time, that live and die by the invasions, who are just probably rolling their eyes at the noobitude exuded in this video, I'm sorry. You guys are just a little quicker to the party than I am. Sorry about that. Just some quick channel news. In the time it took me to gather these clips and cut together this video, make the commentary, I hit 300 subscribers, which I think is another milestone in a channel's life, in a young channel's life. So I wanted to say thank you so much to all of the guys that checked out the content, liked, subbed, left comments, especially participated in conversation. You guys just fucking continue to rock socks. It is absolutely awesome. I'm gonna do like a special thank you or something I'll put out. I just wanted to acknowledge it here because it happened. So thank you so much to everybody for just participating. I'm glad you guys are digging it. Just quickly, some notes about my build as well. Here she is. So pretty tryhard, an intelligence gouge, not a lot of endurance, not a lot of vitality, so kind of a glass cannon thing, rocking the dust crown, rocking the bellowing dragon crest, Logan's catalyst, and those crystal soul spears are just one-shot machines, man. Level 60. Plus I think she's cool because she looks like a silver-haired Bjork. Hooray. Anyways, thanks again as always. I'll catch you soon with a special thank you, some more Dark Souls 2 speculation to come, and we will see you next time, hopefully with some more dickish invasions. See you guys.